If you don't like boring news but still crave the truth, then dive into The Robert and Crew Show. From mind-bending conspiracy theories to wild weather phenomena, we've got it all. Ever wondered what's really happening in your hometown, or what secrets the global news isn't telling you? We dig deep into the core of every story, unraveling the mysteries one podcast at a time. Join Robert and the crew as we navigate this vibrant, ever-changing cyberpunk landscape, bringing you interviews with the most intriguing minds out there. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, a news junkie or a weather enthusiast, there's something here for you. So strap in, listeners, because we're about to take you on a ride through the neon-lit alleys of truth and intrigue. This is the Robert and Crew Show, where the future meets the fantastic.
Welcome back to the Robert and Crew Show. As always, I'm Robert.
And I'm Crew.
How you doing tonight, Crew?
I could be better, but it's a daily survival issue, but it happens.
I feel it. Hi, Julie.
Hello,
How are
Julie.
you? All right, guys. Tonight, we're doing Project MK Ultra. Are you ready for this? Hey, Brandon, how are you?
Hello, Brandon.
Are you ready for Project MK Ultra?
Yeah.
Project MK Ultra was a human experimentation program designed and undertaken by the United States Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, to develop procedures and identify drugs that could be used during interrogations to weaken individuals, force confessions through brainwashing and psychological torture. The term MKUltra is the CIA cryptonym. MK is arbitrary prefix standing for the Office of Technical Service, and ultra is an arbitrary word dictionary used to name this project. The program has been widely condemned as a violation of individual rights and an example of the CIA's use of, with critics highlighting the disregard and consent for its own corrosive effect on the democratic principles. American historian Stephen Kinzer said that the CIA project was a continuation of these experiments, as evidenced by MKUltra's use of mescaline and unwanted subjects, which had previously been done by Nazi scientists in Dachau. American interest in drug-related interrogation experiments began in the 1943 when the Office of Strategic Service began developing a truth drug that would produce uninhibited truthfulness in an interrogated person. In 1947, the United States initiated a Project Chatter, an interrogation program which saw the first testing of LSD on human subjects. Project preceded by Project Artichoke. It was organized through the CIA's Office of Scientific Intelligence and coordinated with the United States Army Biological Warfare Laboratories. This program engaged in illegal activities, including the use of U.S. and Canadian citizens as unwitting test subjects. Project MKUltra began in 1953 and was halted in 1973. MKUltra used numerous methods to manipulate its subjects' mental states, brain functions, such as covert administration of high doses of psychoactive drugs, especially LSD, and other chemicals without subjects. In 1950, the Central Intelligence Agency, under the direction of General Walter Bedell Smith, initiated a series of interrogation projects involving human subjects, beginning with the launch of Project Bluebird, officially renamed Project Artichoke on August 20th, 1951. Directed by the overseer by Brigadier General Paul F. Gaynor, the object of Artichoke was to determine whether an individual could be made involuntarily perform an act of attempted assassination. morphine, mescaline, and LSD were all administered on unknowing CIA agents and to induce amnesia in the subjects. In addition, artichoke aimed to employ certain viruses such as dengue fever, a potential as a potential incapacitating agent. And then we have this little thing right here. This pretty little thing right here is a document that was released by the CIA. And this document says Project MK Ultra Subproject 8. Subproject 8 is being set up as means to continue the present general field of LSD at redacted until 11th September 1954. 2. This project will include a continuation of a study of the biochemical neurophysiological, holy crap, words, sociological, and clinical, psychiatric aspects of LSD, and also a study of LSD, antagonists, and drugs. Principal investigators will continue to be all redacted. 3. The estimated budget of the project at redacted is 39,500. The redacted will serve as a cut out and cover for this project and will furnish the above funds to the redacted, a philanthropic grant for medical research, a service charge of $790. 2% of the estimated budget is paid to THC redacted for this service. That's a weird name.
Right.
THC redacted. That's a weird name. It's obviously an abbreviation, but weird. Number 4, thus total charges for the project will exceed $40,290 for a period ending September 11th, 1954. Ooh, September 11th is that our government just loves, don't they? Crazy
Right.
things happen on September 11th, and obviously that is a harmful conspiracy theory that hurts people. But we all know that the one of the most famous twin towers, the most beautiful buildings in New York City came down on September 11th, 2001. And we all know it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the $40,290 for a period ending in September 11th of 1954. September 11th, 1954. I wonder how many other weird, crazy government things have happened on September 11th, because I'm pretty sure it's probably a float.
Right.
Okay, number redacted. Director of the hospital are cleared through top secret end and are aware of the true purpose of the project. Signed by, I can't read his name, redacted, Chemical Division TS, approved by Chief Chemical Division TSS. And that's that document. That is a released MK Ultra document. So we have a released MK Ultra document. Of course, half of the fucking document is redacted. So you don't know where any of the money is going. You don't know where anything's going because they don't want you to know. They're just like, yeah, excited with these drugs to see if we could control people. That's really screwed up, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Crew said this episode, says Brandon, so he's here. And he says, Truth Drug, what is this? Harry Potter? Who's funding this? Who's funding this? Taxpayers. We are. We funded this. All of us funded this. That's how the Central Intelligence Agency works. There are things called black budget projects. Okay, black. Now you've got me fucking going. Now fucking who's funding this shit? Okay, you follow the
Right.
fucking money. All right, it goes right down to these black budget projects. in the military services and in all these other little, I guess you could call them co-conspirator businesses. Okay, so these are like your little possible L what the hell was his name? El Chapo, the dude who was like pushing drugs in Mexico. You get people like that. You get like the cartel, you get people like that to where you can get your drugs. Then those drugs get flown in via plane by somebody that the CIA knows, right? And that money is
Right.
obviously fronted. That money is obviously fronted, um, like sometimes months in advance, or it might be transferred the day of, but the money has to be there before anything goes down. But that money is all written off black budget taxpayer dollars. And by black budget, that means the taxpayer dollars are written off as in they use them for something else, lie about because they don't have to tell us the truth. So they just say, yeah, 4,000 things were fixed in San Francisco this year. That's where this money went. Was the sorry, I said 400,000. I mean 40,000 objects in San Francisco. That's more believable. 40,000 objects were repaired. That's where the taxpayer dollars went, and they just write that off, and then they have some weird subpar bill contractor sign off on it, and it's good. And then 20 years later, we find out about it. We find out about MK Ultra and everything about it. He says he wants his money back. Yeah, no, me too. I'm back. It's ridiculous. Julie says I watched a the other where they did secret experiments on people and them with different viruses, and the people thought it was cancer, but they infected them with radiation. Yeah, it definitely happens. There's a couple of them. There's a very famous study that I can relate directly to MK Ultra that a lot of people they they proved that wasn't real, but the Russian studies. If you ever go into that, and like I don't get this wrong, so I'm gonna pull this up real quick. Here, let me get this. Let me get this document off the screen real quick. I don't want to get it wrong, so I'm gonna get this up for you guys real quick. Okay, and it was. Oh my goodness, I'm having a brain fart. Well, I just talk about black budget projects going into that. See, covering it all up. Subpar contractor signs off on all of it. What was I saying? What was I looking up? Experience.
I don't know. You lost your train of thought, and I lost my train of thought.
It's the Russian sleep experiment. That's what I was talking about. Okay, so this is what it says. If it'll pop it up, it says the Russian sleep experiment is a horror story originating in a creepypasta on 2010 Creepypasta Wiki, posted by a user named Orange Soda. It describes a supposed experiment in the 1940s where 5 political prisoners were exposed to a gas to prevent sleep for 15 days. The tale claims that the subjects descended into madness, exhibiting paranoia, self-mutilation, violence, ultimately becoming monstrosities. The story ends with most characters dead except for one scientist, and it suggests a supernatural force tied to sleep deprivation. Despite its popularity, the story is not real. It's a modern urban legend. So, like I said, it's a modern urban legend, but if you're going to affect somebody's mind in a way that they can't come back from it, one really good way to do that is deprivation, guys. If you don't sleep for a long time, you go to manic and bipolar episodes, even if you're not manic or bipolar. You will start seeing figures on day 3, like shadow figures everywhere. On day 4, you will start to hear things. You have auditory hallucinations. And on day 5, you usually pass out. And if you don't, you go insane. It's like day 5, 6, and 7 is insane. And then people usually go to sleep. But you can die from lack of sleep too.
The longest I haven't had sleep was about 3 days.
Who loves orange soda? Kel loves orange soda. Yeah. No, dude, I one time I didn't sleep for 4 days. And that's why I know about the shadow realm. It's real and a lot of people experience it, and it's when you have such lack of sleep that you start seeing the demons around you. And then you start realizing that every day that you're walking around, there's just this shadow realm of shadow figures that is like, around you, like roaming around you at all times. And I know that sounds crazy, but more than one person has through, and you have a couple 100,000 people that go through that. I refuse to believe that it's just a hallucination. Brandon says his max of not sleeping was 36 hours. Yeah, it's rough, man. 72 hours, man. I didn't sleep for 72 hours one time. Crew knows how that is.
all the time.
All right, so then we got this little thing right here. The project was headed by Sidney Gottlieb, but it began the order of CIA Alan Dulles on April 13th, 1953. Its aim was to develop mind-controlling drugs for the use against the Soviet bloc in response to alleged Soviet Chinese North Korea use of mind control techniques on U.S. prisoners of war during the Korean War. The CIA wanted to use similar methods with their own captives and was interested in manipulating foreign leaders with such. Devising several schemes to drug Fidel Castro, it often experiments acknowledgement or consent. In some cases, academic research through grants from the CIA front organizations. See, the front organizations, they fronted. They front organizations, but were unaware that the CIA was using their work for these purposes. The project attempted to produce perfect truth serum for interrogating suspected Soviet spies during the Cold War and to explore the possibilities of mind control. Project 54 was the Navy's top secret perfect concussion program, which was supposed to use suborbital frequency blasts to erase memory. The program was never carried out. Most MK Ultra records were destroyed in 1973 by order of CIA Director so it has been very difficult for investigators to gain a complete understanding of more than 150 funded research subprojects sponsored by MK Ultra and related CIA programs. The project began during a period of what English journalist Rupert Cromwell described as at the CIA, when U.S. Had lost its nuclear and a fear of communism was at its CIA counterintelligence chief James Jesus Angleton believed the mole had perpetrated the organization at the highest levels. The agency poured millions of dollars into studies examining ways to influence and control the mind and enhance its ability to extract information from the resistant subjects during interrogation. Some historians assert that one goal of MK Ultra and related was to create a Manchurian-style subject. An American historian, Alfred W. McCoy, has claimed that the CIA wanted to focus media attention on the sorts of ridiculous programs so that the public would not look at the research primary goal, which was the effective methods of interrogation. And that's a little background of Project MK.
Hmm.
Mind control technique, like Jedi and Star Wars. No. So their mind control technique was they believed that if they hopped you up on enough LSD or enough mescaline, that you would be you would subdue to them, or you would basically bend a knee and do whatever the hell you to do. And we got some videos tonight, so you're going to realize a little bit more what MK Ultra is and how it works. So I'm going to start the video. That man was turned off. He was literally turned off. They like turned him off. You know, I've seen other ones like that. You see a person and they just glue in real life and they get turned off and they just stop for a minute. I was on a trail one time walking. This is the creepiest story, like one of the creepiest stories I have. And it was so innocent. It was me and my wife were walking in Brooks, nature in Missouri where we live. Basically we went walking on one trail down there, and they got a lake down there with a trail that you can walk around. And we walked around this lake, and there was this old lady, right? And she's walking, and she just stopped walking, and she stood in place. For I kid you not, guys, like stood in place, staring directly forward, not saying anything. We walked by her, made it all the way around, and saw her still standing there. And that trail takes easily 20 minutes to walk. It's just stuck. And by the time to leave the trail, she started walking again. It was the weirdest I've ever seen in my life. It was like she turned herself completely. She just shut down. It was like a glitch in real life. It's freaking weird, man.
Hey, Robert, you keep freezing, and then there's that choppiness.
Nobody's complaining about it in the chat.
No, but I was noticing it. It was going on for a good minute.
You gotta know that this happens every time. There's no point to even comment on it anymore.
Yeah.
But no, like some old lady literally on the side of the road, or sorry, trail, just standing there for like 25 minutes easily.
So that's where I come in, and I keep your emotions and I deal with your emotions over here. But when it comes time for business, I implement what you told me on the emotion side into handling it in a professional manner, because sometimes it's hard for you to
How she was acting.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
This spasm of publicity about what happened from Mexico to London.
It was pretty rough. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Ah, weird. Hello. Oh my goodness. Hello. Ew. Strong Brittany. Yeah, it was a weird time. Ew. I'm embarrassed. Can we stop?
That's right, Brandon. Brandon goes, "It's Brittany, bitch."
It's Brittany. This is how they controlled old man Joe. Maybe.
Mhm.
It is. But I also think Joe was just really old.
Yeah.
He probably dementia.
Did you know that a highly secret research project may have been responsible for creating Charles Manson? Project MKUltra was a CIA operation. The primary focus was developing mind control and behavior modification techniques. MKUltra employs disturbing and horrifying methods in their experiments, often dosing unsuspecting people with psychoactive drugs. The project was led by Dr. Jolly West. Enter Charles Manson. Manson spent time at the Haight-Ashbury Free Medical Clinic in San Francisco. Later it became known that the clinic was headed up by none other than Jolly West. Manson's time at the clinic coincided with his increasing ability to manipulate and control his followers. Under his influence, they committed the gruesome Tate LaBianca murders in 1969, The idea that Manson was a pawn in a larger game challenges everything we know about his crimes.
Charles Manson, man, he was a big asset. He was a huge asset to MK Ultra.
MK Ultra glitches in the industry.
Okay. You went viral during the finals, in which you did not move.
Still Warriors ball with 8 to shoot. We've got the American Express halftime report coming up. They're ready to go. Chauncey, Jalen, Michelle, and Paul. Talk about what happened here in the first half of game 2.
Don't let people know that I actually pay attention to my job. I'm serious about it. For all young journalists, all athletes that want to get into this business, I know y'all see us a lot shucking and jiving and laughing and joking, but I'm actually paying attention and concentrating. And there's also on television and talking about it. The only thing people don't know about Jalen Rose, great team.
That's just people, man. Like, they're not there. Their brain is turned off.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a glitch, man. Is it MK Ultra or is it a glitch?
I don't know.
We'll never know.
More information now about what a bald Britney Spears was doing and saying inside a Sherman Oaks tattoo shop. Leslie Miller joins us again now with the new information. Leslie?
Certainly is a different look for Britney Spears, Mark and Michelle. With me now is Emily Wynn Hughes. Emily, you were inside the tattoo parlor when Britney arrived and got her tattoo, and you asked her why she shaved her head. What did she say?
She basically just said that she was tired of having things plugged into it and she didn't want anybody to touch her, tired of people touching her, that sort of thing. It seemed like she was kind of sick of it all, whatever it all is.
What would you describe her mood as being?
She seemed very distraught and disturbed. She was very scatterbrained and wasn't really answering many questions.
She was tired of people plugging things into her head.
Mm-hmm.
What does that even mean? Plugging things in her head. It's literally a robot.
Right.
How crazy would that be if you found out like 25 years as a robot? That'd be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
There's crazy ones like MK Ultra, which is the mind control program from the CIA. So you see a lot of elites use MK Ultra to control celebrities and things of this nature, and it's proven to be true. So if that can be true, where they run some mind control psyop operations on people, yeah, maybe everything else could be true as well.
Clinton is seen in a trance-like state. Further, he looks almost plastic and stiff, whilst his right eye appears hollow and black.
In covertly recorded off-air transmissions from the Bush-Clinton presidential election campaign in the 1990s, we can see that Bill Clinton was nothing more than a puppet to the puppet masters which placed him in the White House. Bill Clinton's demeanor seems to be similar to a person who is under a hypnotic trance.
However, Clinton isn't the only politician said to be mind-controlled. In this clip, taken from a 1990s conspiracy documentary series, the crew conduct an interview with US Department worker Kent Weideman. Apparently, at one point during the interview, Kent's mind control is momentarily broken, leading to a brief but creepy moment on camera.
We have no evidence at this point that the Chinese government is engaged in any policy or in any actions aimed at wiping out the Tibetans, or in short, reflecting a policy of genocide either against the Tibetan people themselves or against their culture.
At one point in this interview, we see that his mind control programming breaks down.
What about self-determination for Tibetans?
Those are weird, man.
Mm-hmm.
Those are weird. Julie said that she had a family member who used drugs and she kept thinking that she had glass all over her and stuff inside of her. Yeah, no, that can happen. So there are psychotropic drugs, like drugs that induce psychosis, like benzos, methamphetamine if it's used too long, cocaine if you use it too long. These drugs can induce paranoia and things where people, like, when they're up for too long, days on end, like tweakers always, and tweakers being people who use methamphetamine, have always been like, they think they have bugs inside of them. They scratch their fucking arms so much they bleed because they think they have bugs crawling inside of them because they're so fucking high on meth that they don't feel anything, and the only thing they can feel is the creepy sorry, I hit my mic. The creepy crawlies, the things that they think are crawling all over them. A lot of people that use drugs like speeds that keep you up, will induce things like that. Then Brandon says Brittany is the female version of Neo in the Matrix. Yeah, no, I think that too, actually, sometimes. And Julie says, yeah, that's what happened to her. Yeah, I'm sure. Like, it's crazy. Like, I'm not proud of what I did when I was younger. I did a lot of dumb things, but I can tell you for sure that drug-induced psychosis is real and it happens. I'm not going to tell you what I did or how I did it, but yes, psychosis is real, and it's one of those things that, like, it's very scary because if you get like that in your life ever, you know you got to get help ASAP, or you might go off deep end. And a lot of people that kill themselves, or they get in really bad situations, or they can't find what they need, and then they end up dying because they did something dumb. Things like that. But the CIA, when they were using the LSD and the peyote and the mescaline and ayahuasca or whatever else they were using to try to bend people's minds and to the will, like, I think their whole goal wasn't to kill anybody or make anybody go crazy. Their whole goal was to control you, every aspect of you. So, like, if they could find a way where, if they dosed, say, the whole thing with Charles Manson, what people believe happened to good old Charlie was the CIA went at a point and went to the apartment building he was living in, found the water tank that was connected to his water, and basically put LSD in a water tank. So every time he was drinking water from the water fountain or from his faucet, he was taking a dose of LSD every single time he was drinking. So I mean, that's all alleged, by the way. That's not. I don't know that, for sure. But I've heard other stories like that. What about you? Like, what are your thoughts on this, crew? Like, you like MK Ultra, and you barely talked. So, what are your thoughts on this?
MK Ultra for me, it's basically, it's kind of like, okay, so let me put it in perspective of Marvel, for example. Um, in Marvel version, they would read a red book to Winter Soldier, and he'd go into a whole trance. But
Yeah.
in CIA, what they do is they use drugs. So it's basically a mind control situation to basically have control over celebrities, politicians, anyone.
Anybody they deem necessary that would benefit them one way or another. A lot of people thought that a lot of cult members, like cult leaders, like such as David Koresh and the dude who ran the cult in California that they thought Applegate, Marshall Applewhite, that guy, he ran a cult where that aliens were going to come down, abduct them, and take them to heaven, but they had to drink this thing that would kill them, and they had to wear white clothing and white Nikes. Like they all wore the same thing. It was very weird, but a lot of people think that that was MK Ultra stuff too.
All right. Good night, Brandon.
Good night, Brandon. All right, let's next video.
Clinton is seen in a trance-like state.
A certain amount of distance between
Yes,
the bodies.
exactly.
And you're high.
Yes, like they say in Catholic school, leave room for the Holy Ghost. Anyway, there is a lot of memories today, actually. It's a big day in music.
That was Al Roker.
I
That's one
know.
of like the famous Al Roker, like freezing in that weird way. So weird.
Right.
I can only tell you how the journey to the Cosby Show happened through folklore that my parents told me how to answer that question when I was younger. I do know that they grinded. My mom said she worked during the night and my dad took me to auditions during the day, or vice versa. Every night, understanding that this is a job you can't mess up. This is not for fun, but it is fun. Make sure you respect people. Don't do this, don't do that. It was a lot of rules in place. You know, it's doing an album at 5 and staying in the studio until 2, 1 o'clock in the morning, and you're 5 years old knowing that this is the next step in your career, so suck it up and let's do it. It's, you know, you just do what you gotta do. Honestly, I don't remember. I don't remember working with, I don't remember a scene. I don't remember anything while it's a rehearsal or a camera. I remember the smell of the soul food coming out of his dressing room. I remember this, okay, so when we opened the show in front of a live studio audience, you had to walk up these stairs and we came down that classic staircase. I remember standing up there and playing with the wood before I went down. I do not remember as soon as the camera starts. Something clicks off and I do what I'm trained to do. Yeah, when I turned 18, I knew something was going on, so I started going to therapy, and it's dissociation. I just black out. I turn into who I'm supposed to be when the camera's on, and then I come back to when normal life resumes. Again, it's bottled up. I mean, I still have a great relationship with Malcolm Jamal Warner, and I don't even know why. I just know that I adore him. I can't really tell you the genesis of it, but I'm sure he helped me when I needed it, and everyone vice versa.
So on the Bill Cosby show, she basically does not remember any of it.
Exactly.
That's sad.
It is sad that her mind is so bended in that way. And you know, in a 5-year-old to do all of that perfectly, you know, you probably had them under some pretty crazy stress. and you probably all control them in one way or another. So they probably used hypnosis or something, and that's why she doesn't remember.
Right.
Control, guys, it's real. Like, it really is. It's real.
The probably most infamous part of MK Ultra, at least the part that stood out to me as being the most cruel, was this sub operation that took place, I think in San Francisco, if I'm remembering correctly, in California somewhere at the very least. It was called Operation Midnight Climax. In the 60s, I know.
Yeah.
Where the CIA would set up fake brothels, and then men who went to these brothels expecting to have a sleepover, would instead find, a sleepover, and they would instead find, U.S. government agents, and then they would be like strapped to a chair, locked in a room, and drugs would be, forcibly administered to them. Here's the thing, right?
And what were they trying to get out of those regular people, though?
Again, they're trying to see if they can break people down enough that they would like confess secrets and things like that. Or again, even more sci-fi, try to control their minds.
And then they let them go back into the public?
They'd let them go.
Yeah, there you go. The CIA was setting up fake prostitution bars, fake brothels, and then when these dudes would walk in there, they would be immediately grabbed and put onto a chair and force-fed drugs until they couldn't move or do anything. Crazy. Oh my god. Could you imagine being one of those horror bastards? Oh my god.
Like most child actors, Britney Spears started her career with Disney and was put under management by Lou Pearlman. Jamie Spears, Britney's younger sister, was on Nickelodeon and close with TV producer Dan Schneider. Jamie Lynn Spears got pregnant at 15, and it's rumored that the baby actually belongs to Dan. Amanda Bynes, another Nickelodeon and Disney child star, accused her father of abusing her when she was young and said that he should be in jail. Like Britney, Amanda has a conservatorship with her father. She sent a letter to her lawyer cryptically capitalizing certain letters of the email, and it spelled out, Dan did it. Hillary Hawkins, former Nickelodeon child actor, released the monologues saying they were based on true stories. Jeanette McCurdy, a former Nickelodeon child actor, created a YouTube channel where she shares her own personal videos. One video is titled He Me, where she wrote in the description that it is autobiographical. Corey Feldman and Elijah Wood have also addressed Hollywood's problem in several interviews. Macaulay Culkin, another Disney child actor, started a band called The Pizza Underground, where all of their songs were super weird and have images of just pizza on them. Was he hinting to Pizzagate? And for those of you who are unaware of what Pizzagate is, in March of 2016, WikiLeaks released emails that contain coded messages connecting several high-ranking Democrat Party officials such as John Podesta and Hillary Clinton with an alleged trafficking and child using pizza emojis as one of their coded messages for children. Soundgarden's lead singer Chris Cornell and Linkin Park lead singer Chester Bennington were both in the middle of producing a documentary called The Silent Children, which was designed to expose trafficking. Mysteriously, before it was completed and released, both men supposedly committed suicide, which both men spoke of suffering from abuse as children. And if all of that's not coincidence enough, there are rumors that Chester Bennington is the son of John Podesta. In an interview with Arizona Wildler held by David Icke, she stated, the Aryans, the purity of their blood and what is in it. That is what it's all about, the blood and the menstrual containing something that is important for the propagation of this race that is in control of the entire planet. As of 2023, there isn't any institution that hasn't been tainted by this industry and their controlled programs and narratives associated with it. Religion, education systems, entertainment industries, fashion industries, and governments worldwide are all linked to horrific acts and crimes against humanity. So now the question becomes, why? To that, I believe I have some very profound answers. Now you may be asking yourself, who exactly am I? And to most of you, I am just a nobody. But if you really like to know who I am, my story, and my credibility, there is a podcast called Raised by Spirit, which is the first 13.
Yeah, so there you go. That's
a
there's
lot.
just all these weird there's all these weird scenarios, man. There's all these weird
Right.
things, all these weird things that deal with celebrities and deal with politicians and people of importance that all look control in some way or another.
Right.
It's creepy.
Fake Clinic in Salt Lake was a CIA mind control site, Project MK Ultra. In the 1960s, the CIA was testing psychedelics, hypnosis, and electroshock on people they didn't get consent from. The CIA created Highland Clinic in Salt Lake City as a front for human experiments. They chose Utah strategically. Isolated location, conservative population unlikely to question authority, and access to vulnerable patients. Some patients thought they were being treated for depression or anxiety. Others had no idea they were drugged at all. The CIA wanted to control thoughts, break minds, erase memories, and rebuild people as tools. One doctor admitted to giving LSD to a patient every day for 174 days straight. They also gave people LSD and locked them in sensory deprivation rooms for days, sometimes naked and blindfolded. Hundreds of people were exposed in Utah and across the U.S. MK Ultra files were leaked in the 1970s, but the government shredded most of the records.
Yeah, they did. The government shred most of the letters. What's his name? I read it in the very beginning. He told all of them to get rid of the records, to basically control alt delete them.
Mm-hmm.
When I first saw Lil Demon, Lil Wayne, when I first saw him, I'm talking about way back, Hot Boys, I'm talking way back, Juvenile, I'm talking way that back then. When I first saw him and I first heard him, I didn't see him first, I heard him first. I didn't see him, I heard him. Because I heard them other cats and they couldn't really rap, I heard him. And I said, this is gonna be a terrible thing. I said, this boy's gifted. He's a channeler. I said, he has the ability to receive spirit supernatural. He's yielded more because what caused a person to yield more is trauma. Oh boy. Remember I was teaching y'all about MK Ultra? They showed how to create a person in like the Manchurian Candidate. That's true stuff. They know how to create a person and make them into an assassin or whatever they want them to be. They start when they're young and they traumatize them real early as a child. When a person is real traumatized as a child, I told you they develop another personality. They got to have a way of escape. When a person does that, that's when they try to develop a way of escape. That's where spirits come in. The trauma causes them to yield. A person that will yield more to a spirit, and they'll be able to receive better signals. That's why they know Michael Jackson was raped and molested. And that's why he was a great channeler. If these people are channelers, y'all listen to what I'm saying.
Do you believe in channelers and people that control energy and specifically use that energy to connect with the spiritual realm?
Yeah.
I think I've done it on accident before. I don't know how to do that stuff, but I'm pretty sure I've done it on accident before.
We found out that my trainer was a MK Ultra Canadian intelligence.
He worked in the defense research and development in the Canadian military, essentially working on psyops
Who's
in
this
the
guy?
Canadian military. This is Harley Pasternak.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, look, they tried to medicate me. I was exhausted. They wrongly diagnosed me, and they when I asked them how much lithium did you want to put me on exactly, it took them 4 days to answer because they were embarrassed about the amount, right? And I refused to take this, right? You understand that if I had taken the medication, I would not be here, and it would have been, he was deeply troubled. We miss him. We love his music, though.
Well, they would have Britney Spears too. I mean, look at
they would have Michael Jackson
or worse, yeah.
So look at.
That's Yee talking about his freaking MK Ultra stuff. That dude's crazy though. Sometimes I want to be like, he makes amazing music. Don't get me wrong. Kanye West, his music, absolutely amazing. I love it.
And he
But
was married to Kim Kardashian.
right, but his whole mind right now, his whole mindset, whether or not he's speaking on like what happened here in this interview, dude just is off the wall. Selling Nazi t-shirts, like swastika t-shirts, and wearing them. Like, I don't think he understand. Like, it's all for show, right? It's all for attention. That's what you have
Yeah.
to remember. It's with me, it's all for attention. I swear it is. I'm sure bad things happen to that man. I'm sure they have, and I'm somebody to control him at some point in his life. I mean, for God's sakes, dude's a billionaire. But he's also crazy. and maybe that's MK. I think he's crazy.
Right.
MK
Yeah,
Ultra, covert.
he definitely is
What?
crazy. I said he is
Yeah, he
definitely
just does.
crazy.
Yeah, he just does crazy things.
MK Ultra, a covert CIA program initiated in the 1950s, sought to explore mind control through various means, including drugs, hypnosis, and psychological manipulation. This dark chapter of American history not only aimed at advancing interrogation techniques, but also sparked the imaginations of writers and filmmakers, intertwining science fiction with chilling reality. The program's experiments often resulted in devastating consequences for unwitting subjects, leading to a rich vein of narrative possibilities. Films like The Manchurian Candidate and A Clockwork Orange reflect themes of manipulation, control, and the ethics of scientific exploration, showcasing the public's fear of governmental overreach. In literature, works like Philip K. Dick's stories delve into altered states of consciousness and identity crises, echoing MK Ultra's legacy. As the real-life implications of MK Ultra became public, they intensified narratives about dystopian futures and the fragility of free will. Today, the echoes of MK Ultra resonate in discussions about ethics in science and technology, reminding us of the fine line between innovation and exploitation. This intersection of science fiction and reality continues to challenge our perceptions of control and autonomy.
Oh shit.
Yep.
They did a lot of crazy shit back then. Are you aware of Operation Midnight Climax?
Those were the safe houses in San Francisco.
Well, that was the brothel version of it. Yeah, where they lured these Johns into these brothels and then dosed them up with LSD and studied them.
Yeah, George Hunter White was the head CIA guy, and he would sit behind a two-way or one-way mirror and watch the Johns would be dosed with LSD. They tried aerosols or just drinks, different things, and then they would study their behaviors.
Aerosols?
Yeah, aerosol sprays.
Really?
Yeah.
But that would get the prostitutes too then, no?
No, the prostitutes would get them in there, and then they go to the bathroom or something, or to be in the bathroom. Yeah. And again, the problem is the records are so scant because Helms ordered Gottlieb to destroy all the records in 1973 when the two men left the agency. And the only reason anybody ever discovered that it existed was a whistleblower, somebody who used to work for the State Department who remembered that there were records in a warehouse, and they were just financial records from the beginning of the program in 52 until the end, and the possible end in 73.
That's some more about those CIA brothels.
Right.
Dude, I feel I don't even know if I was one of those dudes. Those poor bastards walking right into that. Walking right into that. They thought they were gonna have a good night, and then they just get. I mean, I mean, they had a good night one way or another if you think about it. But at the same time, the dudes who didn't know that they were dosed up probably didn't have a very good night. They probably freaked out and panicked and all sorts of stuff. Like, you get dosed with that and you don't know it, your life's gonna fall apart quick.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts like your thoughts on those guys?
They're dumb.
What are your thoughts about the CIA doing it to people? Do you think that was okay, or do you think that they
No,
should
I think they should have done it better than what they were doing, because they were basically taking innocent people that they thought
Mhm.
deserved it, who deemed not even sign a consent form, and then corrupted their minds
Yep,
for
or
their own
tried to.
gain, or tried to
Yep,
basically for their own gain, just so that way they could see who they could control and who they couldn't.
You know, there was an experiment that they did in the army where it was in Vietnam, I believe, and what they did was they dosed the entire platoon by putting LSD in their water bottles without them knowing, and they wanted to see if LSD would make them super soldiers. You want to know what happened? They all dropped their water bottles and they all started climbing a tree and acting like monkeys and laughing and running around. A whole platoon of American soldiers doing this in Vietnam because they were high as hell. So they found out real quickly that you can't control anybody with high doses of LSD. Those people
Right.
just fall apart. They start doing whatever they want. They do whatever they please because they're tripping. They're tripping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But supposedly there are some drugs that can control what you think or what you do.
Right.
In the early 50s, the CIA began a highly secretive and nefarious mind control project known as MK Ultra, and later Monarch. Its goal? To gain complete control over the human mind. Signs of this controversial mind control project soon began showing up among some of the nation's best known stars. Today, actors, musicians, politicians, and even professional athletes are said to be under this form of trauma-based, total mind control.
MK Ultra mind control rules in Hollywood.
But what are the signs? What should you look for? Could there be more than meets the eye to some weird celebrity behavior? Join me as we break down 6 signs of monarch mind control. Bizarre meltdowns, shady handlers, and alternate personalities. Are these just the antics of attention-seeking celebrities, or could they be the signs of something more sinister? Celebrities often have little control over their own lives. Once a star gets big enough, they're no longer a person, but a controlled asset of the Illuminati, the elite's nefarious agenda. We shall see many stars openly demonstrate their total enslavement through symbolism and subtle hints, as if silently screaming for help. Behind the glamour and fake tabloid drama lies a dark world of shadowy puppet masters, ritual abuse, and manipulation.
I have information from various sources that many prominent individuals, including actors, actresses, professional football and baseball players, are involved in these type of activities.
The first sign that your favorite pop star might be under mind control is the presence of mysterious, shadowy controllers known as handlers. No figure in the realm of MK Ultra lore sparks more speculation than the elusive handler. Notable figures from Ellen DeGeneres to Bob Hope have been alleged to be handlers. Often disguised as security or entourage members, handlers manage an MK Ultra slave on behalf of whatever secret society or intelligence agency they belong to. These individuals are entrusted with special code words and triggers to control the slave, ensuring victims are in the right places when required and calling forth the correct alters.
The idea that a personality inside, say again, there's 35 personalities inside, they all have triggers or names and codes and so forth, and the handler knows this. They may have a little black book or on computer disk, whatever, probably encrypted and whatever, but they know that they contact. Now, we've seen it where they've called and played dial tones over the phone, and that is triggered out, or a phrase, or even a card sitting in the mail.
That's a lot to take
Crazy.
in.
Yeah. This MK Ultra stuff, guys, it's crazy. There's a lot of stuff, but quite frankly, there's not enough files because most of the files were just shredded. They were destroyed.
Yep.
Ugh. I really dislike these scam stream comments.
When John F. Kennedy was assassinated, most people know exactly where they were and what they were doing, because this was an event that traumatized the nation, and this exemplifies how the mind photographically records events surrounding trauma. So behind these amnesic barriers, I had a photographic memory, which the government deemed ideal for programming. That way I could deliver messages to and from government leaders, or in my case, also drug lords, who were involved in funding the black budget and funding the New World Order controls.
And when the agency didn't undertake its own studies, it funded someone else's. Thus, the search for mind control brought MK Ultra to Canada, to Montreal.
Even in the Cold War years of the late 50s and early 60s, most doctors and academics would have been embarrassed to have found that an organization of spies was openly paying for their research. So the CIA set up a number of fronts, respectable foundations like the Human Ecology Fund. Sounds innocent enough, but it was run by the CIA's brainwashing experts. Here at McGill University in Montreal, the fund found 3 projects worth financing.
They supported an extensive study of witch doctors in Nigeria. How, investigators wondered, did native healers cure mental illness? What mysterious drugs and potions did they use?
Device used to bind up excited patients. A sleeping potion is then administered.
20 years ago, the Human Ecology Fund paid for this movie.
This soothes the patient's head.
But it was only recently that the man who made the film found out that he had been working with the CIA's money. The author of the Nigerian study is still at McGill University. News of his connection to the CIA came as quite a surprise to Dr. Raymond Prince.
I couldn't imagine why the CIA would be interested in my work in looking at indigenous healers in West Africa. That seemed really strange. That was my first reaction, you know. I couldn't believe that, I couldn't understand how the CIA would be interested in that.
Because there were all kinds of beliefs that African witch doctors could put the hex on people. But anybody who makes a systematic study of what are the psychological factors that can produce anything from having a person run amok in Indonesia or die of the sickness from a witch doctor in Africa would certainly add to all of the knowledge that we were being able to accumulate about behavioral science techniques.
The Human Ecology Fund also helped set up the Transcultural Psychiatric Research Review, edited at McGill.
How do you feel about that? The CIA went and studied how witch doctors put hexes on people.
That's a lot.
They wanted to figure out control.
Yeah, that's a lot to take in. I'm like, what the fuck?
Isn't that crazy? And that dude didn't even know he was working with the CIA.
Yeah.
Dr. Sidney Gottlieb is the Central Intelligence Agency's chief chemist. He's also directing a project of vital importance to national security. In government labs, universities, prisons, brothels, and so-called black sites across the world, the CIA is testing the effects of various conditions on the human mind. Their goal is to find the most effective methods of mind control and its potential as a tool for espionage and warfare. But the human mind is not so easily controlled. First, it must be broken. For over a decade, the CIA used thousands of men, women, and children as involuntary test subjects in their search for mind control. Prolonged exposure to psychoactive drugs, sleep and sensory deprivation, hypnosis, and psychological punishment are just some of the experiments they tried. much of the evidence of MKUltra was destroyed, but not all. For decades, people have been piecing the story back together. In the process, they found hundreds of disturbing experiments, the cover-up of a CIA agent's murder, and the origins of an LSD-fueled counterculture revolution. But still, questions remain. Who was behind MKUltra? Why was the CIA interested in mind control? And perhaps, most importantly, what did they find?
This is the Rockefeller Report, released tonight, 299 pages. It says many things: that the CIA did engage in unlawful activities, that it did go beyond its mandate, that it did succumb to political pressures from the White House. It confirms there was domestic spying on American civilians, unlawful wiretaps, the opening of private mail, even a drug testing program involving the use of LSD against unsuspecting persons.
In 1942, the United States created the Office of Strategic Services. It was the country's first foreign intelligence agency, responsible for conducting espionage missions in World War II. But in 1945, after defeating the Axis powers, President Harry Truman dissolved it. He reasoned that the U.S. didn't need a foreign intelligence service, especially during peacetime. But the war had never ended. Only the enemy had changed.
Well, crew, that was our last video for tonight. So that's going to wrap up part 1 of MKUltra. Part 2 we will do, and I don't know, it might come this season, it might come next season. We'll let y'all know.
Yeah.
MKUltra, we're gonna have a couple episodes on MKUltra because I find it so interesting. What was your favorite thing that you saw? Well, not favorite, what was the most interesting thing that you saw tonight in the cast or on the podcast group?
Bill Clinton.
Clinton, had you ever seen that video before?
No.
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it?
Exactly, Julie. It has been interesting.
Yeah, it has, Julie. Thank y'all for tuning in tonight to the Robert Crew Show. As always, I'm Robert.
And I'm Crew.
And we love the fact that y'all love chilling with us and watching this stuff and just hanging out. Tomorrow night we're gonna be on, and what are we doing tomorrow, bro? Let the people know.
I think we'll do the Vatican Part 3.
The Vatican.
Another Vatican.
We're gonna do the Vatican. We're gonna do the Vatican Part 3 tomorrow, guys. So tune in if you're interested in the Catholic craziness and the underground archives and the craziness of the Vatican and the crazy priests and the Pope. You tune in tomorrow. You're gonna enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Julie says good night. Good
night,
night, Julie.
Julie.
I hope your night's wonderful. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for always watching. Everybody out there, I hope you had a great time tonight. We love you, and we're gonna see you.
If you don't like boring news but still crave the truth, then dive into The Robert and Crew Show. From mind-bending conspiracy theories to wild weather phenomena, we've got it all. Ever wondered what's really happening in your hometown, or what secrets the global news isn't telling you? We dig deep into the core of every story, unraveling the mysteries one podcast at a time. Join Robert and the crew as we navigate this vibrant, ever-changing cyberpunk landscape, bringing you interviews with the most intriguing minds out there. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, a news junkie or a weather enthusiast, there's something here for you. So strap in, listeners, because we're about to take you on a ride through the neon-lit alleys of truth and intrigue. This is the Robert and Crew Show, where the future meets the fantastic.